Alban is this chubby 15-year-old who's just now figuring out he's the bad guy in his own story. He's living in this fantasy world but has turned out to be the most annoying villain you can imagine. He's lazy, cocky, and just plain rude. After losing his parents when he was little, he's grown up with some serious issues. Now he knows if he keeps this up, he's pretty much doomed. Things start to spiral when he gets to the academy and loses a duel to the main hero. That's when he decides it might be better to just live a sad life by the road instead of sticking around to be a loser. In this story, there's also his butler Sebas, who basically holds everything together at home. He's totally shocked when Alban actually changes his clothes all by himself. At first, he can't even believe how lazy Alban used to be. He ends up getting all teary-eyed, realizing that changing clothes on your own is actually way faster. Our guy doesn't blame Sebas at all, especially after all the time they've spent together. So he brings up that he's thinking about dropping some weight. Sebas is pretty touched by this and asks how he can help out. Our guy wants to learn swordsmanship since Sebas is already skilled at it. When he hears that, Sebas thinks maybe our guy has bumped his head, but our guy tries to keep things chill. He knows that if he doesn't start making changes now, there won't be any future for him. He wonders if he can convince Sebas to go along with it, so he casually asks if Sebas thinks he'll ever find a wife. Sebas looks confused by that and thinks he's got plenty of marriage proposals coming his way. Our guy clears that up, saying Sebas shouldn't hold back at all. He even jokes that Sebas should come for him if it ever gets tough. Feeling all pumped up, he claims he can tackle the diet and the sword stuff in 6 months. Sebas notices his enthusiasm and softly mumbles about our guy's serious determination. He gets it and says he'll help out with everything he's got. Our guy gets a little too pumped, but a week later, he's face down in the dirt. Sebas asks him if he's ready to throw in the towel. His feet are all swollen, and his arms are shaking like he's just run a marathon. Then they dive into sword training. Our guy thinks he knows the basics, but Sebas wipes the floor with him because he's just way too strong. Our guy ends up flat on his back, totally beat. This isn't going well since his body isn't cooperating. He knows he's starting off with a massive disadvantage. Realizing he's got time, he decides to take it easy for now. Sebas tells him that at this rate, it'll take 3 years to shed those pounds. That freaks our guy out a bit. Sebas thinks he's already doing way better than before, but our guy somehow manages to get up, all wobbly, knowing he's got a tough road ahead. So he asks Sebas to stick around a little longer. In the end, our guy surprisingly gets ripped and scores an impressive physique. Now he's in a dungeon with Sebas, fighting only weak monsters. After 3 months, he's made solid progress in his skills. Sebas wants to check if his sword skills are actually useful in a real fight and is ready to see the results of all that training. Our guy realizes this is his big test. Right in front of them is an angry little goblin. They usually hang out in packs, but Sebas thinks this one got separated from the group. He takes the leap, squares off against the goblin, and gears up. At first, Sebas figured his motivation would only last around 3 days at most, thinking there was no way a lazy dude could keep it up. But our guy picks up everything Sebas teaches like it's nothing. Seriously, there's no stopping a hardworking genius. After taking down one goblin, he spots a whole bunch more showing up. Sebas is seriously impressed and is ready to declare that our guy is a swordsman gifted by the heavens. He puts his hands together, really appreciating the amazing progress. He eventually says that our guy has leveled up so much he has nothing left to teach him. Hearing that gets him a bit emotional. He fists his hands, feeling hyped and thrilled. After 6 months of grind, he's even more stunned when he gets a marriage proposal out of the blue. He feels a swell of pride knowing his hard work paid off. He thinks he's finally gonna score a wife. Usually he goes for the cute and nice types, but Sebas warns him that calling this news adorable might be a stretch. So our guy asks who's sending the proposal, and Sebas clears his throat, revealing it's from the Barrow-ducal family. That hits him like a ton of bricks. He starts freaking out because the status gap is huge, and he's just a baron. Then it hits him that Alban does end up marrying in the story. He remembers his wife, Leticia Barrow, who's a handful, and had her engagement called off because of her antics, leaving her with nowhere to go. He feels totally doomed, thinking about what all this hard work over the last 6 months was even for if he's still ending up in this mess. Sebas says the head of their family has a pretty tough personality, so he tells our guy to give it his all. But our guy just screams that she's a total pain in the ass. He immediately asks if he can say no. Sebas replies that if he wants to make the Barrow-ducal family his enemy, he can, but that sounds like a bigger headache. Sebas tries to calm him down, saying that if the Audran family connects with the Barrow-ducal family, they'll be safe. But for him, that doesn't really matter. It's that connection that messes everything up for him in the story. He wants to know what she did this time. Sebas spills the beans that there are rumors about her embezzling taxes from their estates and bringing some young guy into the mansion. He also mentions that she's a total spendthrift, even dipping into her fiancé's money, which is just wild. Just thinking about it makes him feel all twisted up inside. To change things around, he even works hard to lose weight, but now he feels like it was all for nothing. The next day, it's time to finally meet her. He waits to see what kind of ridiculous person is going to come out of the carriage. But instead, this stunning knockout steps out. She's nothing like what he pictured. She greets him and introduces herself as Leticia, saying she's going to be staying with the Audran family from now on. Sebas introduces himself too and mentions she must be tired from her long trip. She shows up without any attendant and just asks to be taken to a room since she's traveling. After a beat, our guy turns to Sebas and asks what he thinks. Sebas just says she's a really beautiful lady. Sebas isn't really asking about that stuff though. He just sums it up by saying it feels kind of strange. No matter how you look at it, she seems way different from the rumors. Her vibe doesn't match someone who does bad things. He actually senses a kind of wisdom from her. Sebas also thinks something's off and figures there's more to the story than meets the... Our guy is relieved that Sebas got it so quickly. He tells him to dig into what happened with her but keep it under wraps. Sebas says he'll try to find out what he can, but you can tell he's not keen on getting mixed up in the Barrow family's drama. Still, he feels a bit better. He was expecting some weirdo who'd be impossible to chat with, but Leticia seems really classy. He even mentions she could be a great match for him. That thought makes him blush, and he admits he would totally be down if that were the case. During mealtime, he tries hard to make her laugh, but she just brushes him off. She finishes eating, stands up, and thanks them before walking out. He calls after her, wondering why she won't talk to him. Sebas thinks it's probably because the joke fell flat. She's been ignoring him for 3 whole days. He thinks his reputation might have taken a hit, but he gets why she feels that way. Still, he's not giving up. He keeps trying to get on her good side, inviting her for walks and bringing up all kinds of topics. But every time, she just brushes him aside. He ends up feeling totally defeated. This isn't going anywhere, and she won't budge no matter what he... At this point, he figures there's only one last resort. He knocks on her door and asks if she has a minute. He tells her that staying cooped up inside all day isn't good for her health. But once again, she just ignores him. With a smirk, he grabs his sword. He decides to lean into the villain role he's supposed to play. He kicks the door down without breaking a sweat. She's completely shocked to see him standing there. He quickly apologizes, but she fires back, asking how he could do something like that. He reassures her that he'll get the door fixed right away, but she says that's beside the point. She's furious he just barged into her space without permission and tells him to have some decency. Flashing a wicked smile, he replies that he's already a scumbag, so if it helps him get what he wants, he'll break into a woman's room without a second thought. This leaves her pretty confused. He then goes on to say that, without wasting any more time, he wants her to go on a date with him. That catches him. Now that they're outside, he instantly feels the cool, fresh air hit him, making his whole body relax. It's so much better than the stuffy vibe inside, so he points it out to her, thinking she might appreciate it too. But she just says she'd probably only feel that way if he wasn't around. That kinda deflates him, and it feels like she's calling him garbage, or maybe a fancier version of garbage with extra features. She's still tense around him, keeping her guard up, and honestly, he can't blame her. If he were in her shoes, he wouldn't trust Alban either. Still, he wants to lighten the mood, so he brings up that if they keep following this mountain path, they'll get to some gorgeous views ahead. She snaps back, clearly irritated, saying she's not used to hiking on mountain paths at all. If he had planned this hike in advance, a little heads up would have been nice, she tells him. He quickly apologizes, not wanting to argue. Then, without thinking twice, he scoops her up, carrying her like it's the most natural thing to do. He jokes that this way she won't hurt her feet. She responds softly, asking him not to touch her, sounding a bit flustered, but he reassures her that he won't do anything weird. Even he's surprised by how effortlessly he's holding her like a bride. It feels oddly right, all thanks to his training with Sebas. Still, she seems a bit skeptical, wondering if he's thinking something off even if he's acting cool on the outside. When they finally make it to the top, he tells her to check out the view, and she turns to see the scenery. She gets totally lost in how stunning it is. He explains that from up here she can see all of Audran territory, and he really wanted to share this with her. She just stands there, completely blown away. He adds that they'll be looking after the whole territory together from now on, and that makes her blush. She admits he's not at all like the rumors she heard about him being arrogant and full of himself. He casually throws in that she forgot to mention he's lazy too, but insists he's not a thug. He even calls himself a villain. She laughs softly and says villains usually don't label themselves as such. Her laugh catches him off guard because he finds it honestly cute, and her voice sounds better than he expected. She walks over to the pond and comments on how cool and nice the water feels. He jokes that it's probably refreshing for a city girl. She teases him back, asking if he likes feeling dominant over city girls, but he brushes it off, saying he wasn't even trying to. She tells him she was just kidding, and he thinks it's a good chance to change the subject. He points out that they don't really know much about each other, so maybe they should introduce themselves properly. She seems kinda uninterested, but he pushes ahead anyway. She starts off by sharing a bit about herself. She loves black tea and scones, and playing with kids is probably her favorite thing to do. When he asks if she's into kids, she jokes that she doesn't exactly hate them. Then it's his turn to share. He says steak is his favorite food, but he's been trying to cut back because he's watching his weight. For fun, he enjoys practicing with swords and just chilling out whenever he can. She looks a bit puzzled because she can't figure out if he's super dedicated or just lazy. He's wondering the same thing, but thinks since he's worked hard to change his body, that probably makes him a hard worker. She nods in agreement. Then he casually mentions he likes her just the way she is right now. But before she can respond, a loud growl interrupts them, and suddenly a wild beast jumps out from the bushes. It's a giant bear, big enough to make the bushes shake as it moves, and she just freezes up in fear. He calmly mentions that the bears around here act a little weird after munching on crops, like it's no big deal. She can't believe he's explaining stuff instead of freaking out because she thinks they should bolt. But he steps in front of her, ready to protect her without a second thought. He sees the bears locked on Leticia, and it makes sense. She probably looks like a tasty snack to a hungry animal. But he's not letting anything come near her. No monsters are getting to her, so he takes a swing at the bear and takes it out in one bite, ending the whole thing in a flash. Afterward, he tries to lighten the mood again, saying things were finally starting to flow. He checks in on her, asking if she's okay. She's shaking and trying to play it cool, saying she's fine, but then admits she's never seen a monster before, so of course she freaked out. Hearing that makes him pause and realize what's going on. Of course she's scared. This is the first time she's faced something like that. He steps in closer and she looks taken aback. In a gentle tone, he tells her he's really glad she's safe. Tears start streaming down her face as the shock eases and the fear kicks in. She softly asks why he's being so nice to her. He's a bit puzzled and asks what she means. She snaps a bit, saying he's being forced to marry her for political reasons and doesn't really have to care. She thinks he could just taken the Barrow family's protection and kept his distance from her. He tells her he just wants to flirt with his cute wife, trying to play it cool. She doesn't buy it for a second, so he finally admits that was just a lame excuse. He says what he really wants is to figure out what went wrong and who ticked her off. She tells him it would have been better if he stayed clueless because now he's tangled up in stuff he shouldn't be. She insists he still has no part in it. Then she drops a surprise on him. She says if he wants to keep the Audrin family safe, he should treat her bad instead. That totally throws him off, leaving him stunned and unsure of what to do. Leticia gets a fiancé picked out for her when she's only 5, and everyone keeps saying it's Duke Morrow Bertley. As she grows up, she imagines what he might be like, hoping he's this trustworthy, impressive guy she can count on. She even daydreams about the future they could have together. But then reality hits hard when she finally sees him, and he's just a total fool, the kind of guy who spends his life lounging around with shallow girls hanging on him like accessories. He's always surrounded by people who thrive on drama, so when she finally sees him acting all pathetic, she steels herself and calls him over. He approaches, clearly annoyed, and asks what she wants. Leticia tries to bring up something serious, mentioning how the rising taxes are hitting everyone hard, but he interrupts her right away, calling her the little pipe woman, and tells her to stay out of politics. His girls burst into laughter, and it stings her worse than anything. She freezes, totally embarrassed that he'd say that in public. Trying to brush it off, she acts like she just spoke out of turn, but the teasing doesn't let up. The girls keep giggling, repeating that nickname like it's the funniest joke ever. Feeling totally humiliated, Leticia storms out of the estate with her heart racing. She can't believe that this jerk is the same fiancé she's been told her whole life she should dedicate everything to. Since childhood, she was brought up to see him as her future. As she walks through the kingdom streets, tears start welling up, and she quickly wipes them away, trying to look like she's got it all together. The people she passes are struggling. Some parents are so desperate that they even steal because their kids are sick and have nothing to eat. Leticia watches in silence, realizing there's no food left anywhere. The despair on their faces hits her hard, weighing down in her chest. She goes back to the estate and heads straight to the treasure room, digging into the tax records herself. When she sees where the money's been going, it hits her that Morrow is just wasting it all on his ridiculous luxuries. If he keeps this up, she knows she has to step in. She can't just sit back and watch people suffer while he treats their hard-earned cash like it's nothing. 3 years later, Leticia's worst nightmare hits. Morrow publicly announces their engagement is off, right in front of a big crowd. She's standing there, totally stunned, barely able to catch her breath as he accuses her of embezzling taxes. He lectures her about crimes like he's some kind of saint, and not the one destroying everything. The crowd starts whispering, looking at her with doubt. She tries to speak up, but Morrow cuts her off again, insisting that stealing is stealing, no matter what. He kicks her out of his territory, acting like he's doing everyone a favor. One of the girls all over him even tries to flirt, acting like he's some kind of hero. Leticia watches this all go down like it's not even happening to her. The future she's dreamed about since she was a kid just crumbles in an instant. He orders his guards to take her away and says she has no right to cry. Deep down, she knows what could happen. But that doesn't make the pain any easier. 6 months later, she's told she's got a new fiancé now. On her way to meet him, she hears all these rumors calling him lazy, arrogant, and selfish. But when she finally meets him, she finds out none of that is true. His kindness really touches her. When they end up holding hands, everything hits her all at once, and she starts crying because he actually sees her for who she is and believes her without hesitation. But that's exactly why she doesn't want to drag him into her mess. She's scared of him getting hurt because of her. She hates the thought of losing what she cares about. So later, alone in her room, she clings to her pillow, crying and trying to figure out what she's supposed to do next. Sebas fills our guy in, saying Leticia got set up. Our guy flips out, picturing all the ways he could handle Morrow. Maybe he could toss him in the ocean or hire someone who really knows how to deal with scumbags. Sebas goes on, calling Morrow a cheating jerk who blamed his own mess on Leticia and then just tossed her aside. But then he drops a bombshell. Sebas admits that Leticia did swipe some cash from the estate, so the accusation wasn't completely off. Our guy is shocked and can't wrap his head around the idea that she would do something like that. Sebas tries to calm him down, saying she had her reasons. Turns out, she was using the money to support a shelter for abandoned kids living in poverty. Hearing that actually makes our guy feel a bit relieved, even happy, because it all makes sense now. She took the money, but only to help those kids. Suddenly, he remembers her talking about how much she cared for children. Sebas mentions Leticia even dipped into the Bertley family funds to help improve the lives of the less fortunate. She was pretty much doing Morrow's job, picking up the pieces behind the scenes while suffering alone. Our guy realizes she was trying to protect him by keeping her distance. He asks Sebas what he thinks about the whole situation, and Sebas, trying to be nice, says it's total nonsense. Our guy nods, feeling the same way. He's fired up and ready to show Morrow what a real villain looks like. Leticia is totally thrown off when she hears what he says, so she asks him to repeat it, thinking she must have misheard, but he calmly explains that he's the one who started the rumors. He's planning to help her move past her regrets, and he's even scheming some revenge on that jerk Morrow. Hearing that just confuses her more, and she snaps back, saying if he does something like that, Morrow is definitely going to keep an eye on him. But he tells her to chill out, acting like he already knew she'd react that way. He clarifies that the whole trip is just about spreading another rumor, which makes her even more lost. He mentions he spread a story that he and Lady Leticia aren't getting along at all. She blinks at him, wondering how that even helps, since it sounds like the total opposite of the rumor he just used. That's the thing, though. He points out that when rumors clash, people start to feel like something's being covered up. And that's when things really get interesting. At the Bertley estate, Morrow hears the new rumor and can't believe it. It's the complete opposite of what he heard before. One of his girls tells him that there are all kinds of rumors flying around town. Some say Leticia is locked up, while others say she's being worked to the bone. Morrow gets frustrated and starts to think that our guy must really be terrible. Suddenly, the rumor about them not getting along feels totally believable. The girl next to him doesn't get it at all, so Morrow explains in a pretty irritated tone that our guy has the worst personality ever, so he can't picture Leticia being a good fit for him. He thinks a strict woman like her would clash big time. He even goes as far as to think that our guy might actually hurt her. He takes that wild rumor seriously and spirals into his own paranoid thoughts. Meanwhile, our guy figures Moro must be freaking out right now, and Leticia's on the same page. But at the end of the day, rumors are just rumors. She says they need something solid, something real, which is exactly what our guy thinks too. She looks a bit puzzled as he hesitates, and then he apologizes. She tells him she can't get everyone involved just for her revenge. But he insists it's not just about her. He's not okay with things staying the way they are either. He gently calls out to her, saying he knows the real story behind all the so-called bad stuff she did. He understands she acted for the people's sake, but he also points out that legally speaking she did mess up, even if her intentions were good. She asks if he regrets anything now that he's got the full picture, but he says no. He smirks and adds that knowing more about her actually calms him down. It makes everything click. He tells her he wants to cherish her forever, that she's someone who truly deserves to be his wife, and that he won't ever let her go. He promises he'll never betray her, no matter how crazy things get. Hearing that makes her eyes well up and her throat feel tight. He says that's exactly why he can't forgive Moro. He wants Moro to really pay for everything he put her through. She wipes away her tears, saying that doesn't sound like something a true villain would say. But he goes on to explain that real villains are actually the ones who care the most about their families. Later, at the spot where they agreed to meet, Moro shows up strutting in like he owns the place. He claims she kept him waiting. She says hi, but he's quick to complain that she forgot to add Salma to her greeting, acting all high and mighty. He's shocked she even bothered to send him a letter, and he can't believe it's pretty much just a list of gripes about our guy, to the point where it barely counts as a letter at all. He calls it a cursed item, half joking but mostly annoyed. Leticia is done. She can't keep living as that guy's wife anymore. She claims Moro is way better than him. She apologizes for everything and begs Moro to help her get out of that place. Moro looks at her with a mix of pity and ego, thinking she's really been through the ringer. He asks if our guy is really as bad as she says, and she nods, trying to play it cool. Then Moro bursts out laughing like he's been waiting for this moment forever. He calls out to our guy, challenging him. Our guy shows up right on cue, and Leticia is shocked because she didn't expect him to appear so soon. Moro says she should have figured out he had been talking to our guy too. She asks what he's talking about, and he goes on about all the rumors, some saying they were close, others that they were always fighting. But once he got her letter, he knew things weren't great between them. He tells her that asking for help was her own downfall. He admits he's always disliked her, calling her uptight and saying she has no charm. He says that even back then, he did everything he could to break off the engagement with her. Now he thinks our guy is his go-to ally. Our guy just stands there, waiting quietly for Moro to give the final word. As soon as Moro tells him to kill her, he doesn't think twice. He orders him to take out Leticia right then and there. But this is exactly what our guy had planned all along. He's been waiting for this moment. The second Moro gives the order, our guy springs into action and takes down all of Moro's guards like it's nothing. Moro just freezes in shock, totally unable to wrap his head around what's happening. He never expected the Bertley family's guards to go down so easily. Leticia lets out a tiny sigh of relief because the plan worked like a charm. Our guy thinks her acting was pretty impressive too. She turns to Moro, telling him she felt honored by the praise he gave her earlier, while Moro completely loses it, panicking like he just watched everything fall apart in front of him. The jerk is glaring at our guy, his face all twisted up with anger as he demands to know if he's really going to go through with this. His voice cracks a bit, like he's trying to sound tough but is losing control. Our guy fires back just as sharply, asking if Moro seriously forgot that he was the one who tried to set Leticia up first. He raises his sword, pointing it straight at Moro with solid confidence. He warns him that he won't forgive him and that he plans to make him feel the same despair Leticia did, every word hitting hard and cold. Moro's chicks are totally on edge, their faces flipping from scared to angry as they whisper to each other in disbelief. Moro starts laughing in this awkward way, trying to act cool about it, but his voice is shaky. He can't believe those two are teaming up and insists it's basically treason. The girl next to him gets all worked up too, shouting that a fallen noblewoman and some random barrow clan shouldn't just get away with this. But honestly, to our guy, it all just sounds like a bunch of noise. He saw this coming and none of it catches him off guard. Just when Moro thinks he's all high and mighty, someone suddenly jumps in from behind. The whole vibe shifts, and our guy's confidence gets a serious boost. A huge, intimidating knight steps up, all decked out in shiny armor. He looks right at Moro and tells him to back off, speaking to him like he's a kid trying to act tough. He even calls him out, saying to cut the act and admit he knows who he is. He introduces himself clearly. He's Crown, the top honorary knight commander of the kingdom's Knight Order. As soon as Moro hears that name, he goes pale. It's like a wave of fear crashes over him, and he trips over his words, asking why someone like Crown is even here. Crown just shrugs it off, explaining he came because his friends invited him for a trip to the Audran territory. But then, by chance, he catches something wild. Moro ordering the lady of our guy to be killed. That alone is enough to make the atmosphere go dead silent. Moro totally freaks out. He starts flailing his arms and insists he didn't mean it, claiming Crown must have misunderstood. He even tries to pin it on our guy, saying it's all part of his scheme. Before things get any crazier, Sebas jumps in. He calls out to Crown and hands him a letter that Moro swiped from our guy. Crown reads it out loud. The letter talks about helping Moro if he wanted to get rid of Leticia, but it definitely doesn't mention anything about killing her. Sebas casually declares that everything's settled, but Moro's just standing there, shaking like a leaf, realizing how deep he's in it. He mutters how he can't believe our guy set all this up just to get ahead. Our guy just tilts his head, acting clueless about what Moro is whining about. He made sure Crown caught the word kill, but he cleverly left no evidence of actually agreeing to that. Moro looks like he's about to crumble, sweating buckets and quaking. Crown quickly tells the guards to take Moro in, which freaks him out even more. Desperate, he shouts for a duel, challenging our guy to restore his honor, spitting the words out like they're his last shot. Our guy sighs, finding it a bit annoying, but at the same time, he realizes this is his golden chance to take Moro down for good and do it fair and square. Crown steps in like he owns the place, saying he'll be the witness for the duel. Moro is fuming even more, gripping his sword like he's about to explode. He shouts that he's going to kill our guy. But before he swings, he throws out a question, demanding to know if our guy plans to apologize to Leticia. Our guy stops to think. If Moro actually meant it and apologized sincerely, he might just consider making peace. But Moro doesn't hold back. He's livid, throwing out curses and telling him to stop playing games. That's when our guy's last bit of patience snaps. He decides to go all out. He charges forward and lands a brutal punch right to Moro's face. Blood shoots out of Moro's nose, and he stumbles back, screaming. Our guy just laughs, asking what's up. Wasn't Moro the one planning to kill him? Moro's freaking out, swinging his sword around like a maniac, but he can't even land the hit. He yells at our guy, wondering how someone lazy and useless can move like that. But before Moro can whine more, our guy kicks him hard in the gut, sending him flying backward. He confidently says he's been training non-stop for 6 months. He reminds Moro that Leticia's been busting her butt to keep things from falling apart, while Moro was off having fun and letting his people suffer. She worked hard to help others, even when her powers were limited. But Moro just gives a bitter laugh and says it doesn't matter how many commoners die because they'll just keep popping up anyway. That really gets to our guy. He drives his sword straight into Moro's hand, telling him to shut his mouth. Moro screams louder than ever, his voice cracking. Our guy says nobles are nothing without the people. They rely on the commoners to exist. He points out that Leticia risked everything to save the territory, and Moro just stomped all over her efforts. He totally beats up Moro like he's a punching bag. Leticia just stands there, frozen, heart racing with every hit. Moro grabs his sword again and yells, saying he won't put up with this anymore. But our guy doesn't even slow down. He charges in and slices Moro's arm right off. Moro collapses, screaming like a scared animal, crying about his arm. Our guy leans down and asks if Moro finally gets it. That despair Leticia felt. Just when he's about to finish Moro off, Leticia rushes up behind him and grabs him tight. Her arms wrap around him, shaking. She whispers for him not to do it. She begs him, saying he's gone far enough. She explains that if he keeps going, his soul will be messed up in a way he can't fix. That gets through to him. He turns to her, suddenly realizing how close she is, and for a second, he just stares at her like he's seeing her for the first time. She looks amazing, even with all this chaos around, and she tells him she never thought he'd get this mad for her. Crown wraps up the duel and declares our guy the winner. Right after that, Moro and his girl get taken away by the cops. Once things settle down, our guy turns to Leticia and asks if all this was really enough for her. She nods, saying revenge is all she needed. Then she adds that his acting was actually pretty awesome. She tells him it seems like they really make a good pair. He smiles a little and agrees, saying they should go for the title of the best couple around. She laughs, mentioning that with a villainous lady and a great villain, they'd make the ultimate villain couple. Our guy chuckles too, thinking the title sounds spot on, so he proudly declares that from now on, they'll be evil upon evil, the most villainous duo out there. A month after the duel with Moro, our guy is way more on edge than he thought he'd be. Today's his wedding day with Leticia, and his stomach is doing flips like crazy. As the ceremony gets closer, it's getting harder for him to breathe. Sebas jumps in, calm as ever, telling him to chill out and reminding him that a groom should at least try to look cool. The reason for all this stress? Leticia suggested they go ahead with the ceremony right away since they're about to be husband and wife. Just thinking about it makes his nerves kick into overdrive. He never felt this nervous even when he faced his first goblin, but now his heart is racing like crazy. Sebas keeps saying it's a good sign. A wedding means starting a new chapter, and being nervous just shows how much he cares. He jokes that if he weren't at all nervous, Leticia might end up feeling let down. As Sebas fixes his tie, our guy tries to take deep breaths, but all he can think about is seeing Leticia in her wedding dress. The idea of her walking toward him is both thrilling and terrifying. He's convinced that just having her there will bring him good luck. Sebas brings up a funny memory about his dad being super nervous on his wedding day, even saying his dad once punched himself in the face to calm down. Our guy is taken aback, questioning if his dad really went that far. Sebas chuckles, saying it's nice to reminisce about those times. Since our guy lost his parents before he could really remember them, he can only picture it through stories. Then he looks at Sebas, who stands tall and beaming with pride, and Sebas mentions how special it is to be at the weddings of 2 generations from the same family. That really hits home for our guy, making him feel like he's getting the best honor a lord could ever ask for. To him, Sebas feels like a father figure, even if he didn't recognize it before. When he says it out loud, Sebas is clearly moved. He gets a little emotional, happy that all the years he spent raising our guy weren't for nothing, even if he often called him a troublesome brat. Our guy quickly tells him not to use that nickname, but suggests they should get a move on. Leticia's maid checks in on her, asking if she's okay and if she's feeling lonely. Leticia replies that she's feeling a bit calmer now. Since none of her family members are at the wedding, everyone around her is making sure she's not alone for even a second. She starts to think about why she doesn't feel lonely and why she's not nearly as nervous as she was at the engagement party with Moro. It clicks for her. The butterflies in her stomach and that warm feeling are all because she's marrying someone she really loves. Sure, she has some nagging thoughts about the future and if they'll be a great couple, but those worries seem tiny compared to the happiness that's bubbling up inside her. She feels different from her old self, in a good way. Sebas walks in to help her with her veil, getting her ready for the big moment. After that, he steps out, feeling like today might actually go better than he thought. Inside the church, our guy stands at the front, his nerves going wild. Honestly, he thinks he might throw up. He makes himself breathe slowly and starts playing out what's gonna happen. Sebas and Leticia walking down the aisle, him lifting her veil, saying their vows, slipping on the rings. Just picturing it starts to get to him. As he gets lost in his thoughts, the announcement comes, the bride is entering. He spins around way too quickly and sees Leticia making her way towards him. For a moment, everything feels frozen. He looks at her and feels his brain hit pause. She's stunning, way more beautiful than he ever imagined, and he can't believe someone like her is about to say, I do to him. Seriously, she looks like an angel. But then he thinks again, nah, not an angel. More like a goddess. She comes over and asks if something's wrong, checking if she has anything on her face. He starts to panic inside, quickly saying no and that he just thought she was beautiful, so he couldn't help but stare. He figures she'll see that as a compliment, even though he knows he kinda acted like she's not the most gorgeous woman in the world right now. She blushes a bit, and when she laughs, he feels this warm rush in his chest. She says she's glad to hear it, which makes him realize he's not the only one whose heart feels like it's about to explode. The priest calls them up and reads the vows. He asks them to take each other as husband and wife, through sickness and health, rich or poor, and to respect one another forever. When it's time to answer, they both say yes, promising to love each other. Then it's ring time. As he gets ready to slide the ring onto Leticia's finger, he notices her hands are shaking like crazy. She apologizes, saying that even though they're here, she can't shake the feeling of being scared. She can't believe a fallen noblewoman like her can be this happy and wonders if it's okay to feel that way. Hearing that, he speaks up confidently. He tells her that of course she can feel that happiness. He promises he'll make her happy and show her that she can be the happiest person in the world. He slips the ring onto her finger and says it's a promise. Leticia's eyes light up, and she admits she feels happier than she ever has before. He nods, saying he feels the same vibe. He pulls her in closer and jokingly asks if it's too early to call this the best moment of their lives. She looks surprised by the question. He explains that this is just the start because he promised to make her the happiest woman ever. Her eyes fill with tears and she chuckles, saying that if they measure happiness like that, even as grandparents, they'll never agree on what the best moment really is. He laughs and says that just means they have so many more joys to look forward to as a couple. As he gazes at her and lifts her veil, he thinks her smile is way better than anything else. He feels more determined than ever to protect that smile, no matter what. They lean in and kiss while everyone around them beams with happiness. In this moment, they officially become husband and wife. So Crown, after checking out how interesting and promising the two of them are, decides to give a heads up to Headmaster Faust. One of the Academy minions is caught off guard, saying there are all sorts of bad rumors flying around about them. He tries to push back, but the headmaster insists they're a special case. Because of that, he suggests they give the entrance exam a shot. Leticia is about to leave, and the kids gather around her with a mix of happy and sad smiles, wishing her well in the capital. They wave their small hands and promise to eat the veggies they planted together once they're ready. Hearing them nearly makes her cry, but she holds it together. She reminds them not to be sad, saying she'll be back in 3 years, but that only makes them cry more. They want to go with her because they can't bear the thought of being apart. Leticia gives them a warm smile, even though she feels their heartaches too, and explains that she can't take them along. As an employee of the Order and the Barrow family, it's her job to keep the mansion and the territory in good shape. The kids might think she's strict, but they see her as a really kind and awesome person, and their admiration is clear in their eyes. Meanwhile, Sebas and our guy are watching quietly. Our guy is a bit curious about his own send-off. Being the head of the household, it seems like no one is really sad to see him go. Still, he helps Leticia into the carriage, making sure she doesn't trip over her dress. Before he hops in, Sebas calls out to him, saying if he ever needs a hand, he shouldn't hesitate to reach out. He also gives him a heads up to be careful at the academy. Our guy just shrugs it off, saying everything's going to be alright. I mean, who's been training him day in and day out for the last 6 months? Sebas has, that's who. Now that they're both 16, the newlyweds want to dive deeper into what it means to be noble and responsible. So they're planning to enroll in the Magdala Royal Academy. After hours stuck in the carriage, our guy feels like a bag of jelly. Being crammed in that seat for so long is torture, and he swears riding a carriage has to be one of the most exhausting things ever. When they finally get there, some academy staff are already waiting. They bow and tell them their rooms are ready. They also mention an exam, which totally confuses Leticia. She asks about it, wondering what exam they're talking about. But our guy isn't too worried. He figures Moro's family just wants to have a bit of fun messing with him. He figures he just needs to play along with their little challenge at the training ground. Once they arrive, a cocky kid sees them and mutters that the money he got from the Bertley family wasn't pocket change, and now he just needs to deal with our guy. This dude is Professor Bastian, a real jerk. He looks at our guy and immediately brushes him off as weak and scared, just waiting for him to mess up big time. Our guy gives the professor a friendly wave, but Bastian jumps in, barking at him about being slow and how ridiculous it is to keep an examiner waiting. He asks if our guy is actually serious about joining the academy, almost like he's trying to hammer it home. Bastian thinks that if he acts all tough, guys like this will just fold and start crying. But our guy stays chill, not thrown off at all, pointing out that he showed up on time, so all the drama is unnecessary. He questions why Bastian is the one stuck waiting if he hates it so much. Fed up with the back and forth, Bastian tells him to just get on with the exam. He orders our guy to aim at the target and use magic to hit it. In his head, he figures there's no way our guy can pull this off since students are supposed to learn magic only after they enroll. Little does he know, our guy is on a whole different level. Our guy lifts a hand, conjures a dark flame, and sends a massive blast straight at the target. It completely goes up in smoke. Bastian freezes, sweating bullets as he stares at the charred remains. He mutters to himself, completely stunned, and can't wrap his head around how a kid could wield that kind of power. But our guy has been training for 6 months under Sebas, picking up both combat and magic along the way. This is just proof of his hard work. Casually, our guy asks if he passes or fails. Bastian's face twists with annoyance. He hands him a sword and says the next test is a mock battle. If our guy can land even one hit on the professor, he passes. He can't believe they're making him fight a professor before even enrolling. The irony hits him so hard he almost laughs. Bastion charges in right away, ready to fail him. But our guy stays chill, not even a bit nervous. Bastion swings hard, but our guy blocks everything effortlessly with smooth, sharp moves, using just one hand. He even asks the professor what's up since he's not using both hands. This just makes Bastion furious, and he yells at him not to look down on him. Our guy casually flicks his wrist, and just like that, Bastion's sword shatters into pieces. He points out that Bastion is the one acting like a spoiled brat. Naturally, that makes Bastion even angrier, but before he can react, our guy gives him a light tap on the head with the broken blade, just enough to get the hit needed to pass. Then he grabs Bastion by the collar and tells him how weak he is. He questions whether Bastion is really a professor at the Royal Academy and even asks if he wants to throw down for real or switch things up to magic. He challenges him to keep him entertained a bit longer if he's up for it. Just as things are about to heat up, the headmaster shows up, saying that's enough. Bastion lets out a sigh of relief, looking like he just dodged a bullet. The headmaster mutters something under his breath, and our guy instantly recognizes him. He's the headmaster of Magdala Royal Academy, the strongest mage in the kingdom. He also realizes the headmaster recognizes him too. He's the one Cran recommended, claiming our guy has a talent that shows up once every century. The jerk professor can't believe his eyes as everything goes down. His face twists in panic as he yells at the headmaster, demanding that the kid who hurt a teacher gets punished right away. He tries to sound all righteous, but his voice betrays him with a crack of fear. The headmaster, though, stays super calm, like this whole situation is just beneath him. He gives the professor a confident, unimpressed look and straight up tells him that the academy doesn't need someone incompetent. He orders him to pack his stuff and get lost. Those words hit hard. The jerk professor freezes for a moment, then it hits him, and he just collapses to the ground, pounding his fists down and shouting curses. Damn it, he keeps saying, as if repeating it will somehow magically change things. But it doesn't. Then the headmaster turns to our guy and says he's welcome to enroll at the Royal Academy. He advises him to hit the books hard while he's here. Our guy nods a bit, grateful for the acceptance and faith the headmaster has in him. But the headmaster isn't done. He throws in one last tip, telling our guy to avoid bullying teachers more than he has to. He reminds him he's still a student and that it's wise to keep that in mind if he doesn't want to stir up more trouble. With that, the headmaster walks away without a second thought, his cloak billowing behind him like he's already on to the next issue. Our guy rolls his eyes inside. He can't believe this is happening because the headmaster totally called him out. Yeah, he kinda bullied the professor a bit too easily. But at least the headmaster decided to cut him some slack this time. So now he knows he has to watch himself going forward to avoid going too far again. Just as he's about to leave the training ground, that jerk professor, still shaking and looking all embarrassed, points him in the direction of where his dorm is. But our guy raises an eyebrow and questions if the men's building is actually on the other side. That's when the headmaster suddenly winks at him, like he knows a secret. He says they set up a special place just for the two newlyweds, a private one. Now he's really confused. Standing outside his assigned room, he stares at the door, wondering who on earth his roommate is going to be. Just thinking about it makes his heart race. When he finally opens the door and walks in, the first thing he notices is that someone's already inside. It's Leticia. But this was supposed to just be a performance hall earlier, and now the guide brought her here saying it was the headmaster's idea. At first, he shrugs it off, but then it hits him all at once. Sharing a room with Leticia, as newlyweds in a dorm at a royal academy, is bound to stir up all kinds of trouble. He freezes, picturing all the misunderstandings and chaos this could lead to. He even mutters to himself that the old geezer probably expects them to have a kid before graduation with a setup like this. He's about to storm out and demand the headmaster switch their rooms, but Leticia suddenly tugs on his sleeve. She looks at him with those adorable, soft eyes that make it impossible for him to say no. Just one glance, and he can't argue anymore. So he gives in and agrees to share the room. But to keep things decent, he decides to put up a divider between their beds. Leticia seems a bit bummed, thinking sharing a bed would have been fine, but she doesn't push him on it. Meanwhile, in another building, the headmaster is playing chess with Crown. As he makes a move, he admits he thought Crown had totally lost it when he suggested the two of them. But after seeing how things went today, he gets why Crown made that choice. Crown brings up our guy's special talent, the rare gift that only pops up once every 100 years, and asks if the headmaster has seen it in action. The headmaster nods, saying he has, and mentions that our guy carries a heavy darkness in his heart, one that doesn't hold back against enemies. He suggests that a strong noble doesn't need a soft side or extra talent, but he acknowledges that our guy's ruthless nature is what makes him so dangerous. Crown wonders if that's why the headmaster put him in the same room as Leticia. The headmaster raises an eyebrow and flips the question back at him, reminding Crown that he's the one who said their guy is the vessel of a tyrant, while Leticia is the vessel of a wise ruler, someone who should always be by his side. Without her, that power could really get out of hand. Crown leans back, genuinely curious about where things will lead for them both. The old wizard thinks the same and casually moves his chess piece, saying they'll need to make some new rules for this school year. Then he calmly declares checkmate to Crown. Crown accepts it, but quickly changes the topic, asking if everything was cool with the jerk professor. The headmaster brushes it off, saying it's all good since he knew the professor had been bribed all along. Meanwhile, outside, the jerk professor is running, looking like he's ready to explode. He's fuming and swearing under his breath, feeling like everyone is looking down on him. He's determined to show them he's not someone to mess with. As he rushes by, he spots a chick just minding its own business. He starts ranting in his head about their guy, the academy, and all the humiliation he plans to throw back at them. He mutters to himself that he can't just let the assault he endured slide, no way. Just when he's about to do something dumb, someone jumps in from behind. This new guy moves super quick, grabs the professor, and slams his head right into the ground in one swift move. The girl gasps, surprised, but the guy who stepped in asks if she's okay. She nods fast, saying she's fine. On the ground, the professor is twitching and mumbling the guy's name over and over, full of rage and embarrassment. The rescuer looks a bit confused, tilting his head as he tries to figure out why this guy is rambling about some student. Some students are quietly chatting early in the morning, remembering something they heard from a waiter before they even signed up. News travels fast, so now everyone is on high alert, making sure to stay away from strangers, especially certain strangers. That stranger is our guy, the notorious Alban. He's just chilling against a wall, feeling a mix of sleepy and bored, waiting for Leticia. She said she'd be back with some flowers, but she's taking longer than expected. And now he's getting a bit annoyed, wondering what's holding her up. As he turns around, he quickly spots that she's not by herself. A bunch of girls have already crowded around her, their voices overlapping as they chatter loudly. They tease her, saying she's got some nerve showing up at this school. To them, this place isn't for someone like her, a fallen noble. Their words sting, but he figured this would happen. Leticia holds her ground, though. She coolly fires back, saying their perfume is awful and their loud chatter is annoying. She claims she didn't notice until she got closer. Her remarks hit hard, and the three girls immediately get upset. Their eyes flare, and they step up, demanding to know why she thinks she can look down on them. Our guy starts to stress out and calls out to Leticia, ready to step in, but before he can get to her, another dude suddenly shows up. He smoothly grabs the attacking girl's hand and goes off on the trio, asking if they really think they're nobles with this kind of behavior. His tone slices through the chaos. Seeing this, our guy gets tense, readying his sword and preparing to jump in because he doesn't trust some random stranger getting involved around Leticia. Meanwhile, the girls roll their eyes and say Leticia isn't worth their time, backing off while mumbling insults. The guy who stepped in turns to Leticia and asks if she's okay. She thanks him nicely for helping her, keeping it graceful. Our guy, though, can't help but stare at this newcomer, thinking, who the heck is this pretty boy? The guy shrugs it off, saying there's no need to thank him. He couldn't just stand by and watch the scene unfold. Our guy is really annoyed on the inside. He's trying to keep it cool, but it's clearly not working. He quickly steps up to Leticia, gives her a gentle grab from behind, almost like he's making a point, and thanks the dude for saving his wife, but also throws in that he'd prefer it if he didn't get too close. Leticia calls him out right away, looking embarrassed and telling him to chill. The guy immediately apologizes, saying he didn't know she was already taken. Then he asks if that means our guy is Alban. Our guy says yes, and the dude nods, claiming he knew it. Word about him is spreading like wildfire even among everyday folks. He introduces himself as Leo. Our guy shakes his hand, but Leticia notices how forced his smile is. His face is stiff, kind of annoyed, and definitely not happy about the whole situation. As they walk away, Leticia looks up at him and asks if he's having those thoughts again. Her tone makes him flinch because he totally knows what she means. She can read him like a book. She is his wife after all. She reassures him she's not into Leo at all, and he doesn't need to worry about keeping Leo away from her. She tells him to stop making that grumpy face. After that, our guy clears his throat awkwardly and nods, saying he'll try to get along with Leo. When they finally stroll into class, Leo's already there. As soon as he spots them, his whole face lights up like a Christmas tree. He's practically glowing with excitement. Our guy tenses up because he didn't expect Leo to be this happy. Leo can't believe they're in the same class and says he's totally stoked. Before anyone can really respond, someone yells for the class to quiet down. The other students settle in, and then the teacher shows up. She confidently introduces herself as Paula Velvet. She tells everyone she'll be in charge of the class and greets them with a chill vibe. After a quick scan of the group, she notices that some students look like they'd rather be anywhere else. One guy raises his hand. He's all stiff and formal, full of himself. He introduces himself as Ivan Kun and asks why someone from a fancy Scottish family like his has to be stuck in the same class as people without proper titles. His words hang in the air, filled with attitude. Another student pipes up, clearly annoyed, asking if Ivan really thinks he's better than the rest. Ivan doesn't skip a beat and straight up agrees. Tension instantly fills the classroom, like the air is thickening around them. An annoyed student shoots Ivan a look and tells him to forget about titles while they're at this academy. They're all just students here, like it or not. But Ivan isn't bothered at all. He glares back and asks why a low pawn like him even gets to sit 2 rows up in the class hierarchy. His voice is icy, full of arrogance. You can practically feel the tension spike in the room. A girl sitting near the front starts shaking, as if the vibe could break at any moment. Finally, Sensei claps his hands to grab everyone's attention. Once things quiet down, he says he wants to share something important. He drops the bomb that the academy has new rules this year. As soon as he mentions new rules, everyone gets even tenser. He says one student will be in charge of the whole class. They need to pick a king. Leo blinks, completely confused. Our guy freezes, and Leticia looks just as lost. This isn't the kind of announcement they expected at all. Sensei keeps it chill as he explains that the other 9 students who don't become king will have to swear to obey the chosen king until graduation. As soon as he says this, Ivan's face goes white. He starts freaking out, claiming he never heard anything like this when he signed up. But Sensei just shrugs it off, saying these are new rules, so of course, no one knew about them beforehand. A girl in the corner raises her hand, looking a bit anxious, and asks Sensei how they're even supposed to pick a king. Sensei casually waves his hand, telling them it's totally up to them. They can compete in school stuff, see who can hold up under pressure, negotiate, bribe, threaten, talk it out, or even fight if that's what it takes. He makes it clear he doesn't care how they figure it out, just one rule, no killing. Then he drops the real kicker. If they don't pick a king in a month, everyone's getting expelled. Sensei grins widely, almost pumped about it, and tells them to use whatever skills they have to take out the competition and find the last one standing. Rowan pumps his fist and shouts that they should just settle it with a duel. He says the last student standing can be king. His eyes are shining with excitement, like he's already picturing the battle. Then another girl jumps in all dramatic-like. She says the king has to be someone elegant and pure. That's Estelle for you, posing like there's a spotlight on her. Across the room there's a girl shaking like a leaf, begging everyone to stop. She introduces herself as Shenanal and looks like she wants no part in this craziness. Next, a guy with a smooth voice steps up. He calls himself Matthias Wolf and says money rules everything. The richest person has all the power, and that's just how it goes. He leans back like he already owns the crown. There are also 2 other girls watching all this unfold, Laki and Carla, each showing their own mix of worry and curiosity. The last 3 students in the room are Leo, Alban, and Leticia, just taking it all in. Ivan, still acting all high and mighty, gets up again and starts saying that everyone else in the class is beneath him. He goes on about how a king is only a king if they have authority, and apparently, he thinks he's the only one who fits the bill. But Matthias just laughs, looking amused. He asks Ivan if he's blind or just pretending not to see someone in the room who's got way more authority than him. Then he points to Leticia. She looks shocked as everyone turns to stare at her. She asks Sensei if she can suggest someone other than herself for king. Sensei nods for her to go ahead, and Leticia steps up. She says she wants to make something clear. She's convinced that the one who should be king of their class is her husband, Alban. She insists it's impossible for anyone else to take that spot. The room goes wild with shock. Our guy starts to sweat immediately. He can feel a ton of eyes on him, and his brain is screaming, "Why me?" He shakily raises his hand to ask if they can at least have a preliminary round first. He tries to explain that they should see who the strongest is, but that just makes it all messier. Before he can say anything else, Leticia jumps in again, saying the strongest is obviously him. She insists that no matter how many fights he gets into, he's not going to lose. Hearing that totally freaks him out. Internally, he's spiraling, thinking this is becoming a huge hassle. In the end, thanks to her confidence and everyone's growing expectations, he realizes he's now got to fight every other student in the class, one by one. Just like that, his day has become way more complicated than he ever wanted. Everyone's staring at our guy, wide-eyed and whispering to each other like they can't believe it. To them, the idea that Alban, the dude who was always crashing and sleeping through everything, could actually be the right choice for king seems totally ridiculous. Leticia doesn't hesitate. She steps forward confidently, almost glowing with conviction, and suggests that anyone who disagrees should try putting their claims to the test. She tells them that facing our guy is the easiest way to check who's truly worth calling king. Evan scoffs and jumps in with his sword, acting like he's been waiting for an excuse to show off. He points his blade toward our guy with that same arrogant expression plastered on his face. Meanwhile, our guy stands there thinking this is all one giant headache. Fighting isn't the problem. It's the annoyance of going through another ridiculous situation set up by the academy. Before he can even process Ivan's challenge, Matthew steps in, calling out to our guy. He warns him that he isn't going to hold back, as if he wants to make sure the whole class hears it. Right after him, Rowan jumps forward too, insisting he should be the one to fight our guy one-on-one first. But from our guy's perspective, all of it is just noise piling up in a room that already feels too tight. He sighs internally. It's a total pain, but he knows he can't betray Leticia's expectations, not after she openly declared him king material in front of everyone. So he smirks, telling them that if they want him to crush a bunch of insects, then they should all come at him at once. He says it like he's bored, like he's already fast-forwarded in his mind to the part where he wins. The three challengers, Rowan, Matthew, and Ivan, brace themselves. Sensei raises her hand to signal the start. Before anyone even blinks, all three launch themselves straight at our guy, their steps heavy and filled with killing intent. He can feel it coming from them like a wave. He thinks their intent isn't half bad. It's not impressive, but it's not terrible either. Still, he blows them away effortlessly. His movements are sharp, clean, and almost frighteningly smooth. The impact sends Rowan and Matthew flying back like broken dolls. They hit the ground and stay there, completely out of the game. To our guy, the whole exchange barely counts as a warm-up. He thinks their strength is nowhere near enough, not even close. Now only Ivan remains. He stands there trembling, gripping his sword so tightly his knuckles turn white. He looks like someone who just realized he walked onto the wrong stage of the wrong play in the wrong lifetime. Sensei casually reminds everyone that this duel arena has a special magic circle that removes pain and prevents death entirely. She explains that they're free to kill each other as much as they like inside the ring, and nothing will happen. That doesn't help Ivan at all. If anything, it horrifies him even more. Ivan tries to regain dignity and jumps in with an aqua whip spell, swirling it around dramatically. He makes a show of it, trying to look calm and noble. Our guy tilts his head and asks if he's already using magic. Ivan proudly confirms it. He says he's from the Scottish ducal family, implying that means something special. Just as the aqua whip snaps toward our guy doesn't even bother dodging. In the next frame, he's standing right beside Ivan, holding his sword at the guy's neck. Ivan freezes. Our guy tells him that what he just did is nothing but a cheap parlor trick. After that, Sensei states plainly that Ivan is dead. The duel ends with our guy achieving another clean victory. He steps back toward Leticia afterward. She praises him warmly for his good work, her smile gentle and full of... Our guy immediately asks her to praise him even more, leaning in like he's trying to soak up whatever affection he can. But she smirks and tells him she'll save that for when they return to their room. The tone in her voice makes his heart jolt. Then she turns to the remaining students and asks if anyone else wants to challenge him, or if they'd rather concede now. One girl completely loses it, shouting that there's no way she's fighting a monster like that. She waves her hands around, panicking, and refuses to step even an inch toward the... But then someone steps forward willingly. A calm voice echoes through the room, saying he will take the challenge. He says he watched the fight and felt something ignite in him. He wants to test his skills. It's Leo. Our guy wanted to avoid fighting him more than anyone else because it feels like fate pushing him into a bad corner. but the situation forces. Our guy recognizes Leo instantly, not as a friend or a classmate, but as the protagonist of this entire fantasy novel. He's the one who eventually leads our guy to ruin in the story's original timeline. He's the one who surpasses him effortlessly. Seeing him standing in front of him now feels surreal and irritating all at once. Sensei tells both of them to prepare themselves. Our guy turns to Leo and asks if he heard what she said. Leo nods calmly, completely unbothered. He's ready, too ready. Our guy knows he can't lose. He wonders what kind of strength the main character will reveal. He braces himself as the duel begins. Both of them clash fiercely right from the start, swords slamming together with enough force to echo through the arena. Leo swings first, aiming directly at our guy's side. Our guy knocks it away with just a touch. He counters immediately. Leo blocks perfectly. Their movements gain speed until it and refuses to step even an inch toward the. But then someone steps forward willingly. A calm voice echoes through the room, saying he will take the challenge. He says he watched the fight and felt something ignite in him. He wants to test his skills. It's Leo. Our guy wanted to avoid fighting him more than anyone else because it feels like fate pushing him into a bad corner. But the situation forces. Our guy recognizes Leo instantly, not as a friend or a classmate, but as the protagonist of this entire fantasy novel. He's the one who eventually leads our guy to ruin in the story's original timeline. He's the one who surpasses him effortlessly. Seeing him standing in front of him now feels surreal and irritating all at once. Sensei tells both of them to prepare themselves. Our guy turns to Leo and asks if he heard what she said. Leo nods calmly, completely unbothered. He's ready, too ready. Our guy knows he can't lose. He wonders what kind of strength the main character will reveal. He braces himself as the duel begins. Both of them clash fiercely right from the start, swords slamming together with enough force to echo through the arena. Leo swings first, aiming directly at our guy's side. Our guy knocks it away with just a touch. He counters immediately. Leo blocks perfectly. Their movements gain speed until it feels like the ground shakes beneath them. Our guy admits in his head that Leo is really good. Leo probably thinks the same about him. Our guy does a quick, conservative estimate of Leo's abilities and realizes something terrifying. They're equal. Exactly equal. Leo's strength is immense, and it matches him in every aspect. Our guy mutters internally that this must be the true power of the protagonist. He thinks it's completely ridiculous. He acknowledges Leo's skill, even if it feels frustrating. Leo feels honored hearing it. They clash again and again, neither one backing down. Minions watch with open mouths, whispering in awe. Leticia watches too, eyes shining with amazement as if this is the most incredible duel she has ever seen. Out of respect, our guy decides to take it up a notch. He vanishes forward, appearing behind Leo instantly. He thinks the match is over, but Leo twists around faster than expected, blocking the strike cleanly. Our guy starts sweating because Leo is matching him move for move. Leo strikes back toward his head. Our guy smirks and swings with equal force. They collide in a burst of sparks. In the final exchange, our guy digs deep and pushes forward, seizing a single, tiny opening. He strikes straight at Leo. Leo falls. Sensei announces Leo is dead. Our guy stands there panting, sweat dripping down his face. He wins. Leo stands afterward, trying to play cool despite the intensity of the fight. He says he couldn't keep up with our guy at all and admits he lost fair and square. Inside, our guy is losing it. He had to get serious halfway through the match, which annoys him more than anything. He can't understand how Leo is this strong without any training. Leo then says he always had confidence in his sword skills, but now he finally understands the true extent of his own ability. That annoys our guy even more. Our guy says he still has a long way to go, even though he's sweating like he just swam through the duel. As Leo stands there smiling innocently, our guy thinks to himself that this guy is dangerous. If Leo surpasses him the same way he did in the novel, then his downfall is guaranteed. He wonders whether he should even allow Leo to continue growing at this rate. Then Leo does something unexpected. He kneels down in front of our guy, right there in front of everyone. He declares that he will become our guy's knight,